Hi everyone, it's Lila Jennifer, the Sarcastic Diabetic. For those of you who are new, welcome, and for anyone who is coming back to my channel, welcome back. I said that I was going to do a video about the new Omnipod 5 that I had received, and I thought today that would be a great day to do it. I actually have to change it out this afternoon. I could do that, but when you put it in and all that is it's exactly the same as the Omnipod Dash, and I have videos on that. So if you want to go back and check those out, you can. I'm just roughly going to talk about it and my thoughts on it, how, the gist of how it works and yada, yada, yada. So if this is something you're interested in, just watch the rest of the video. So one thing that is different about the Omnipod 5 is the PDM. It is longer and thin. It's a lot thinner. It appears to be heavier. It is heavier, but this came with it, and that's what I've been using. I also have another thing that I bought because sometimes I was a tube pump user, so I was always used to it being on my body and everything. And while this is fantastic to not have those tubes, I've choked myself. I've done the swinging pendulum of death with the tubed pumps, where it swings. I've hit myself in the face with them. I've dropped them in toilets. All that kind of stuff. So this is a lot better, but sometimes I will forget it, because I'm just so used to, even though I've been, was on the Omnipod 5 almost 3 years. You tend to, but you can buy things, that you can attach. And right now, I currently have it right here, and as you can see, it looks just like the regular Omnipod. It is not. And then I have my G6, which these two are the only two that work together, as far as the only things like the G7 and stuff like that does not work with the Omnipod 5. It's strictly the G6. So if you're going to get the Omnipod 5 and you want it to be a hybrid closed loop system, you have to have the G6, which is the best that I have ever had, as far as CGMs, the best. But we're not really talking about, we're talking a little bit about the Dexcom 6 because that's part of the hybrid closed loop system. But you guys, okay, and as you can look, it was telling me that my pod's expiring in a little while. But as you can look, even the the format of it is different. Right now, my blood sugar, as you can tell, is 160, but usually it's on this page right here, but because my pod is going to expire in probably about 5 o'clock or something, it goes to this just as a reminder. Okay, and then in settings, this is what I'll tell you. First, let me give you this. I absolutely 100% love this pump. I have not put it, I think I've put it one time in manual, and that is because the communication between the two kind of messed up for some reason, and I think it's where I actually had it, and I was sleeping and I was laying on it, so I just switched it to manual until I could get it, figure out why it was doing that and stuff like that. So one time, and I have had it, oh my gosh, I think 2 months, maybe a little bit longer. And two, if you want to get a backstory on me, you need to go back and look at some of my videos. But I am a brittle, and I mean brittle, type 1 diabetic. I was diagnosed when I was young. I'm not an adult that was diagnosed type 1. I am a juvenile, insulin dependent diabetic. I am almost 50 years old, which I know you can't tell. I know I look so young for my age. But and I I've also had cancer and surgery and gone through all this stuff in the past year. I've had 5 surgeries and several other procedures and things like that on my face due to cancer, and so and anything affects my blood sugar. Yes. So I'm very brittle, and I was super excited. I mean, I'd heard about this for several years now. I've been waiting on it to come out. I tried a hybrid closed loop system once before. It was Medtronic. Sucked. Okay. And finally, I just had to tell them, look, it's not for everybody. And Omnipod 5 may not be for everybody. But if it's for a brittle, and I mean brittle, I've never met another diabetic like me, ever. And other diabetics who say that they're brittle, and they are, still are nothing like me. I mean, nothing. And being a woman makes it worse because of hormones and that time of month and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you don't know how many times I've almost been hospitalized during my period. But this pump has worked. My blood sugars, and I'm not saying that sometimes they don't go up, but this has managed to bring my blood sugars down. I stay in range, 80, sometimes 90% of the time, where I wasn't even getting 40% of the time. I mean, those were like, I would think, oh, when they were like that, and this, though, you have to be more aggressive with your settings, okay? And you also have to realize, like I have the dawn phenomenon, that in the early morning hours, my blood sugars go high. Now, I don't have it every day. That's the problem, you see. I don't, and I have several, before this, I had several different basal rates for different times of the day. With this, you still, when you put it in manual, you can still do that. But when you are in automated mode, which is where it does everything except for, this handles everything. Of course, you have to put some settings in there, like your insulin sensitivity, things like that. I've done a video on that, on how to figure out if you're a pump user. It's different on how you figure out your insulin sensitivity, as if you were taking shots or you're taking long-acting insulin or just regular insulin, not fast-acting insulin, which regular is fast, but I'm talking like rapid, like Humalog and Lumjev and all that kind of crap. I also have a video on Lumjev, but it's different how you calculate it. And as I say always, you can go on the American Diabetes website. I encourage everyone to do that. They will tell you all this information on how to calculate your insulin sensitivity and your insulin to carb ratio and things like that in here. And I'm sure in other pumps, but in this one, you literally, sometimes during the day, your insulin sensitivity changes. Your insulin to carb ratio will change. You either won't need as much insulin for a carb, or you'll need more. And you can change that from hour to hour. So, and maybe even 30-minute increment. I don't know, but and there's a gigantic book on this, okay? They have a starter, obviously, like everybody else, they have a starter little page. But I encourage you to go in, because there's some settings that are already preset. I'm going to give you a heads up on this, okay? There's a setting in this that is already preset, that if you have not touched this insulin pump in 4 hours, it's going to alarm. And then if you don't hear that alarm or something, just say, and it will shut the pump down. You will have to shut the pump down and change it. Like, take the pump off and put a new pump on. Go in there and change that crap immediately. It's in settings. Read the freaking book. You can find all those settings and everything. But when I tell y'all that I have slept through the night, every night, but I think maybe 2. And one of them was because it stopped communicating, and it gives you an alarm. And you can set those, and you can set reminders of your own that are different even from this. But when I tell you, I have slept through the night which is a miracle. And so that makes it where my husband sleeps through the night. The longer you wear this, so the more you wear the Omnipod and you're in automated mode, that is how the algorithm figures you out. Okay, once you put in your insulin sensitivity, the type of insulin you take, the type of insulin you take does determine like how the pump will work. Like with Humalog, usually I think it's like 4 hours is the duration. They say 4 to 6 or something like that. Well, I had to put in 2.5 hours. So you have to be a little more aggressive on this pump with some of your settings. Actually, an Omnipod nurse called me. An Omnipod 5 nurse called me. We discussed it. I talked to her about it. Her husband's diabetic. He and I talked about it, and we were both in agreement that, we had to be very aggressive with our settings, with our insulin sensitivity and things. And those are things that you're going to have to figure out within the first few weeks of wearing it and things like that. So do not freak out if your blood sugars go high, or do not freak out if they go low. You have to adjust. I mean, you still, have to be a participant in your diabetes and in your care. But once you do that, I mean, I'm telling you, and the only reason my blood sugar is, I guarantee it's gone down. Yep, see, 154. The only reason it was up is because I drank coffee. And no, I have no insulin. I have no sugar in this coffee. It's the fact that the coffee speeds up my metabolism and makes me burn sugar, carbohydrates. So that brings my sugar up. But I have not touched it. As you've seen, you saw me show you 160, now it's 150. This brings it down. Now, sometimes you still have to put in carbs for what you eat, things like that. And sometimes, it's hard, and this is meant to lower it, slowly over time and things like that. And sometimes I'll take too much insulin, and it'll cut off like it's supposed to. It will cut off to keep from giving you more insulin, but you have to remember the insulin you took is still in there. So sometimes you may have a low, and you may have to go in and adjust if that's something that's happening without, and you think, well, I'm pretty correct in my carbs, how many carbs I'm putting in, or you may have to change that insulin to carb ratio during that time. But always remember, insulin on board, if you've taken it for food, this will shut down if it sees that you're heading for a low, but it can't do anything about the insulin you have already given yourself. So you have to look at that. But I'm telling you, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. Now, the problem here is insurance. My insurance pays for my pods. They sent them to me, insurance paid for my pods. The problem is it wouldn't pay for this. Okay? Video on that, I think. Because I can't use the pods without the PDM. And the old PDM for the dash does not work on this, okay? So we ended up having to buy, it's an intro kit. So they don't sell just this by itself. They sell an intro kit. Of course they do. And the intro kit, oh my God, I think at one time it was $1,800. But then I think it's Costco, if I'm not mistaken, they have it for $500 and something. Then Walgreens has it for $600 something. I usually get my stuff from Walgreens. My prescription was already there. Yes, $100 makes a difference. No, we're not filthy rich or anything like that, but I could get it faster from Walgreens because I already had the prescription there. And my husband said, go on and get it, because the stress of all of it too is because my blood sugars to go high, like extremely high, like freaky high. And he was just like, he goes, you are stressing out about this. He's like, and I had been dealing with it for weeks, had the pump, my whole pumps, everything for weeks, but just didn't have the PDM. So I couldn't use it. And I was running out of Dash. That was the whole point too. I was running out of Dash, but because my insurance had already paid for these, they wouldn't send me any more or pay for any more Dash. And I wasn't going to put money toward the Dash pumps, any more money toward the Dash pumps. Well, I called Insulin, the makers of Omnipod, and they sent me, I think, 5 or 6 Omnipod Dash for free. And I mean, of course, they said that, that they could only do that then or whatever, but they're very good about, trying to help. And I even asked, I'm like, can I not buy the PDM from you guys, just directly from you guys? They're like, no. But the thing is you keep all that stuff if your insurance company is one of the ones who will not pay for the intro kit. And if you have to, and I know it's hard, y'all, I know it's hard. I'm telling you I do. But they will, once they start covering it, they will have to reimburse you as long as you have all the information. So that's what I'm going to do. And because Insulet is working with insurance companies to get that covered, it's a weird thing. I mean, it's a weird, I could sit here and explain it to you. I figured it out. I used to be a pharmacy tech, so I kind of know some of the lingo and things like that about medicine and what's considered a durable medical equipment, what's considered, regular, and this is just all screwed up as to the actual product number for insurance companies as to what it is. It's a big ordeal. But eventually all insurance companies are probably eventually gonna do it. And I have TRICARE, and if you look in their thing, it literally says they cover all with a medical necessity. Now they're starting to make you do medical necessities now, and probably all insurance companies are going to do that. Our government sucks, but anyway. Because even when you have insurance and you're paying for it, which we are paying for TRICARE, you can't get what you need. Even though you're paying for the insurance and they say they cover it, you can't get what you need. And I'm not down. I know that Medicaid and stuff like that are for people, but I also know I used to work in mental health and work with people with Medicaid, and every one of my clients, every one of them did not deserve Medicaid. And I'm just saying, and they got everything they needed for $3, sometimes $1. No, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Medicaid's not a good thing, and things like that, but I don't think it's a good thing. I think it makes people dependent and least likely to work and be able to have really, good insurance companies where you can go, but now I think they can pretty much go anywhere. But anyway, again, I digress. But this pump is fantastic. It is worth, if your insurance company won't pay for the intro kit so that you can get this, it is worth it. Go ahead and buy it. They will reimburse you as long as you have the, keep all your paperwork, things like that. So I highly recommend it. If 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being, or 0 to 10, 10 being the best, 0 being no, I would say 10. But you do have to participate. You do have to, figure out your settings, things like that. And if you have a doctor like mine, he didn't help me at all. Like, he has never helped me. Not one time. And I already went ahead, I'd studied up on this, and I'd already went ahead when it came in. I eventually looked at the videos and stuff like that, but I already knew how to do it. So I just did it and everything without the videos and all that, because I had studied up on it. I went to websites, I looked at videos and things like that. I mean, I'm talking months before I got it, because it was out months before you could get it, in certain areas. So that is my advice to you too, is to study up on it, so that way you don't have to wait. Once you get it, you can use it. And I did, and it has worked. I can't explain it. I just can't. And I mean, even during my period. So, this is just, I guess, a little review on the Omnipod 5. It is fantastic. It's the best that I've ever used. Ever. Okay? So, if you have any questions, I mean, please feel free to ask me if you want me to do a video and more in depth or on a specific thing about the Omnipod 5. Please, leave that down in the comments, and I will try to check those and possibly answer your questions as best to my ability. And I hope this helps you if you're kind of on the fence about whether you want to change to the Omnipod 5 and things like that. But it is fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. So that's all I have to say. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. I hope you all have had a great day. I hope you have great weeks. I hope you have a great weekend coming up. Spend time with your family, friends, loved ones. Laugh, have fun. Nobody makes it out of this life alive. Be sarcastic. Love one another. And as always, be the reason somebody gets drunk today. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.